Good morning, mathematicians. We are looking at week 31, and we're looking at our Wednesday column, right? Now, really, this part of the Wednesday column really kind of counts for Wednesday and Thursday. That is why we see nothing in the Thursday column for the stance that is this one, okay? Because we do have several questions here as we are reviewing the coordinate grid. So let's get started. I says point what is located at 3, comma 4. So I am going to start at the origin. All movement starts here at the origin. My x is 3, so I'm going to go over 3. My y is 4, so I'm going to go up 4. And take a look. I am seated right here at point C. So that is it for I. Now, when I look at the double I, it is asking me, well, what is the coordinate that point B is located at? So I'm going to come right here and notice that point B is right here. Remember, all movement starts here at the origin. So I ask myself, what is my x? How far over do I go? I go over 1. How far up do I go? I go up 6. So my point is 1, comma 6. Now I'm going to take a look at point D, right? So let's find point D. Point D is right here. This says point D is 3.5 units away from which axis? Well, I know that this is the y-axis. I know that this is the x-axis. So I have to determine, is D 3.5 away from the y-axis, or is it 3.5 away from the x-axis? Well, certainly when I look here, I notice it is more than 3.5 away from the x-axis. So instead, let's take a look at the y. If I jump 1, 2, 3.5, sure enough, there I sit right there at the y-axis. So yes, I know that point D is 3.5 units away from the y-axis. Now I'm looking and it says point E is blank units away from the x-axis. So let's find point E. Point E is right here. And I want to know how far away it is from the x-axis. So sure enough, I count 1, 2, 3. It is exactly 3 units away from the x-axis. And now we're going to do the same thing, but for point F, and considering it to the y-axis. So here's point F, and we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It is 6 units away from the y-axis, okay? Now, that is what we're looking at for point F, right? Here was F, and if we count, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, exactly 6 units away from the y-axis, okay? Boys and girls, that was a lot of questions, but all having to do with the coordinate grid. One of the biggest takeaways is remember, we go over to the x, then we go up to the y. Remember, we go over first, then up. And the other big takeaway is remember, this is the y-axis. The up and down, the vertical is the y-axis. This is the x-axis, the horizontal laying on its side, that is the x-axis. Those are the big takeaways that I hope you will take from that question. We can use this same idea to help us with our next question. This says select the one true statement about the planes, right? So we're thinking again about the coordinate plane. We're thinking about the y-axis, the vertical axis, the x-axis, the horizontal. Number 1, or I, says the x and y-axis intersect at 40. Well, that's not true. This continues up forever. This continues over forever. These are perpendicular lines, right? The only moment that they meet is right here at the origin. So this is not true. This says the x and y axes intersect at the origin. Aha, that is the true statement. They only intersect right there at 0, 0, or the origin. Now, just for the sake of taking a look at why this third one is wrong, this says the x and y axes are parallel to each other. Remember, boys and girls, these are parallel lines. And no, the x and y axes are not parallel, they are actually perpendicular, which means they meet at a 90-degree angle, right? And of course, this one is just plain fun. Polar bears live in Antarctica, okay? So again, that one is just to see if you're paying attention to wake you up and make sure that you are with us in our mathematical thinking. The last question that we're looking at for today says Slice Tyson has made a special pizza box to hold its championship pizza slice. The box is 14 inches long, 12 inches tall, and 8 inches deep. What is the volume of the box? Well, the first thing that we're going to remember, boys and girls, is volume equals what times what times what? Volume equals length times width times height. So the volume, we can exchange the length for the actual length, which is 14 inches. We can exchange the width for the actual width, which is going to be 12, and the height for the actual height, which is going to be 8. So here, boys and girls, I have volume equals 14 times 12 times 8, right? That is what we are going to do first. Of course, we can multiply these in any order. I like to use this box down here for a little bit of scrap work. 4 times 2 is 8. 2 times 1 is 2. I'm going to cross this off and now get started with 14 times 1, of course, is exactly 14. Now I'm going to add these, and I find that my 14 times 12 is 168. But I still need to multiply that by 8. So now I'm going to do 168 times 8. And I know that 8 times 8 is 64. Here's my 4, carry my 6. 4 times 8 is 48. But now I'm going to add 6 to that, and I have 54. Here's my 4, carry my 5. 8 times 1 is 8, but I'm going to add 5 to that, and that is 13. So I have an answer of 1,344. But remember, volume is always reported as a number and then as a unit and with a cube. Now, if I can be specific about the unit, in this case it's inches, I will write the specific unit. If you don't know, you can literally write units cubed if it hasn't specified inches or centimeters or millimeters, whatever it is. But for today, we can write exactly this. This is my final answer. I have 1,344 inches cubed. And that finishes out